Hey everybody, I've got a fun one for you today because we are reviewing the Hyundai Elantra, what I think is the best small affordable car you can buy. That's right, even better than the Toyota Corolla and the new Honda Civic. Now what is the Elantra? Well, it's a small compact sedan which was introduced in 1990, but let's be brutally honest, the first 4 generations or so of the Elantra, pretty much through the 2000s, were pretty dreary. The only reason you'd buy an old Elantra is, you were on a budget and you wanted something affordable that was going to last a long time, but from a style perspective, a features perspective, an engineering perspective, nothing all that spectacular. Well, we are on generation 7, and this thing is really rad. Not only is it affordable, but it's got a lot of great features and brings a lot of value to the table that really brings this a step beyond a lot of its competition. Well, should we get going? Let's go ahead and start it up. Now, this is more of an entry-level Elantra. This is an SEL, so it is one step above the base. And let's start with that value, because you get a ton of value in this model. The MSRP for the 2022 SEL with floor mats, which is the only option on this vehicle, $21,605, and for just under $22,000, I mean, it's amazing all the stuff you get. It really does show how far Hyundai has come from not only a value perspective, but from a feature perspective. So let's talk about some of the great convenience features. This car has remote proximity control. So I've got the key in my pocket. I simply walk up to the vehicle, push a button on the door, and it unlocks, right? No need to get the key out of your pocket and unlock it the old manual way. Great stuff, right? Not long ago, that would have been reserved for higher end luxury SUVs, and now you can get it on a $21,000 Elantra. On the inside, we have an 8-inch screen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it is one of the best wireless Apple CarPlay systems I've experienced. You can be on a phone call on the outside of the Hyundai, come on in, start the car up, it'll hook up to wireless CarPlay almost instantly, so you don't lose that much of your conversation. It's a very quick system, which is super well integrated into the vehicle. The 8-inch screen, I think it's got nice graphics, and once you leave the CarPlay system, it is an easy thing to figure out, very easy to use. We've got physical knobs for the volume and the tune controls, very, very intuitive. But that's not where the features end, because we also have automatic climate control, but dual zone automatic climate control for not only the driver, but the passenger. And we have a 3 fan speed auto system, so you can have the temperature control in auto, but then you can have low fan speed, medium, or high. Really, really nice little feature there. But overall, from a tech perspective, for 21 grand, just so much value. You've got a pretty decent backup camera. You've got 3 different drive modes: normal, sport, and smart. And then we come to the safety gear, which is included. Now, not quite as impressive on the safety standpoint when compared to like the Toyota Corolla, but still a lot of great features. So not only do we have like automatic emergency brake warning, right? Like, stuff you'd come to expect in 2022, but we also have blind spot warning, which works fantastic, really, really well. It's got lane centering, so not only lane keep assist, but on the highway, push this little button here in the steering wheel, the icon will turn green, and then it'll keep you in the middle of the lanes, kind of like a Tesla autopilot system. Excellent for longer road trips. Now, it's not quite as good as like Tesla autopilot here in Florida on some of the wider lanes. It does ping pong a little bit, but overall, it still certainly helps with longer road trips. When you're backing up, it'll let you know about cross traffic, which is a great thing. So very good, safety systems. It doesn't have standard adaptive cruise control like you'd find in the Corolla, but overall, very, very, very functional. Now, what about the driving experience in the Elantra? Well, this is where things, maybe take a slight turn for the worse. The engine, it's very, I would almost go as far as to say very innocuous at normal speeds. It just kind of blends into the background, very unoffensive. So it's a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, naturally aspirated, no turbocharging, no forced induction, 147 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque, and at normal speeds, even at highway speeds, you really don't notice it. It just kind of, it's there. It just does its thing. But where you start to get a little bit of an unrefined experience is when you go to pass someone, when you're trying to drive the Elantra in a sporty manner. It's just buzzy and unrefined. So here, let's go ahead and merge onto this larger road. I'll go ahead and give it some throttle. So that's where, I don't know, it's not a very pleasant thing to listen to. Under about 3,000 RPM, you'll never notice it, but when you go to pass someone, it just makes a lot of noise. Decent performance, I would say that it's very adequate. 147 horsepower is more than like a Corolla. 132 pound-feet of torque. Passing power is okay. It just sounds so strained when you're at like 4,000 or 5,000 RPM. But of course, that is not the only engine option available in the Elantra. There's a hybrid, there's the full-on N with the turbocharged engine and 276 horsepower, and then there's even an N line with like 200 horsepower, so lots of options. It's just that this base power plant, you know, it's a little blender-like at the higher RPMs. Now this engine is mated to the only transmission option in the SEL. It's called an IVT, but it's a continuously variable system. I'm not going to complain about it that much because of the fuel economy that this system has been delivering for me over the last few days. So let me scroll down into my trip information. 40.4 mpg over the last 258 miles, and that is mostly highway, but certainly a decent amount of city, or in this case, island driving. Over 40 miles per gallon is incredible. This is a 12.4 gallon fuel tank. So you've got lots and lots and lots of range, and on the highway, it's just a beast. I've hit over 41 on the highway in some stretches, which is really, really good. EPA on the highway is over 40. City's supposed to be like mid-30s or so, but very impressed with the fuel economy. So yes, it does certainly drone along when you're pushing it, but with fuel economy like that, I really don't mind. And in a vehicle like this, which is supposed to be affordable, reliable transportation, I think the CVT is okay. Keep in mind that Hyundai has an incredible 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on this system, so that certainly is a very attractive proposition when you compare it to the Toyota and the Honda. Now, the ride quality is kind of mush. It's good. Once again, for a commuter, you don't want something too sporty, you don't want something too firm, and this vehicle will certainly fit the bill for pretty much most roads. If you live in a place like Michigan with potholes, I've hit plenty of potholes over the last couple of days, both on purpose and on accident, then it does a good job of soaking them up. It certainly is not a very dynamic driving experience, so I wouldn't actively seek out some fun, cool roads. The steering's kind of dead, and you know, it does lean over quite a bit when you really start to push it. Take this turn with a little bit of momentum. Yeah, it's fine. Now, the non-sporty Elantras like this SEL, they have a beam style rear suspension, which is pretty basic, a little bit rudimentary. However, if you step up to the N line, or of course the full-blown N, you actually get a multi-link rear suspension. So those two are going to be the driving enthusiast choice. As it sits, this one, very unoffensive in the way it tackles the bumps, and I would actually say quite comfortable for longer road trips. And from a comfort standpoint, this car is amazingly quiet for a $21,600 vehicle, and the seats are very, very adequate. The best way I can put it. Not enough adjustability. So on the driver's side, I've got forward and backward, I've got recline, and then I also have a little bit of height up and down adjustment. On the passenger side, no height up and down adjustment, and neither side on this SEL have lumbar support, which is a major disappointment. I really would like to see standard lumbar, at least on the driver's side, but the seats are well bolstered. There's plenty of padding. The headrest is nicely adjustable, even for taller drivers. I'm about 6 feet tall. Got lots of upward mobility even from here. So the seats are better than I was expecting. The material feels durable and long lasting. And I like these kind of streaks they put in the gray cloth. You know, they didn't have to do that. They could have just left it one monochromatic design, but they actually gave it a little bit of thought there, which is good. And then white stitching on the seats as well. So the seats are better than I was expecting, as is the overall dash layout and dash design. Very driver-centric cockpit, the way the screen is angled toward the driver with these big beveled gauges. And then you've got this grab handle here, which kind of separates the driver from the passenger. So you do feel like you're in something a lot more premium than a $21,000 car, which is something you certainly miss on like the Corolla. Even though the Corolla starting price is less than the Hyundai, this interior I think makes up for that slight increase over the Toyota from a kind of a design and comfort perspective. And speaking of design, it is a cool design. I know some people are not so keen on it, but Hyundai is making a statement. The Corolla and especially the Civic are designed to kind of blend into their environments, but this has got that big bold grille and these crazy lines that intersect along the side with these swoopy taillights in the rear end and these cool wheels that are painted black. Like it's a good design. The SEL has those 16-inch black wheels over the base model, which is a slightly smaller design, but I do like the way this looks a lot. It's makes a statement, and I do appreciate that Hyundai is going bold with the overall design language. Other pros about the Hyundai: incredible backseat, even at 6 feet tall. My driving position, I can get back there, lots of legroom, decent headroom, pretty good sized trunk as well, over 14 cubic feet. So that's another pro. And I just am very happy with this vehicle from the amount of features and the amount of value you get. It's not as fun to drive as a standard Civic. It's more fun to drive than a standard Corolla, I'll tell you that much. But the real sweet spot in the Elantra lineup is not the full-blown N, not the crazy 270 horsepower model, but the N line, because that gives you 201 horsepower with an available manual transmission, still in the $20,000 range, right? You're still in like the mid-20s with an N line, but you get a 1.6 liter turbocharged engine with 200 horsepower, and you get the multi-link rear suspension, and it's a much more dynamic and involved driving experience in the N line. So you do pay more than the SEL, but I would strongly recommend it if you want a little bit of fun, especially with the manual, but you can't afford the full-blown N model. That is the one to go for. Some kind of weird things about this SEL: the gauges are very sporty. They're very inset, which is nice, but they've got this red kind of surround with these bright white letters, and they go up to 160 miles an hour, the speedometer. 160, which is the most optimistic thing I've heard in a long time, and the tack's got this giant red line, and it's a little much for the kind of drone that it gives you when you put your foot into it, but certainly is a little bit interesting to look at. I don't like the plastic steering wheel. Really don't like the plastic steering wheel. Of course, a leather one is available. I like the design. I think it looks quite nice, but the plastic on it just doesn't look good. Lots of buttons though. You've got volume, tune, cruise control, that lane centering there. So lots of functionality. I just don't like the plastic nature of it. Of course, the SEL is available with both a convenience and a premium package. I'd probably forego them. They do add quite a bit of cost. It gives you some nice features, like you can get the bigger screen in here, but the 8-inch is perfect, especially with the wireless CarPlay. I love it. And for 21 grand, a lot of value. I would just spend a little bit more and get the N line, and then I think that'll be the sweet spot. Well, let me know what you think of the Hyundai Elantra in the comment section below. Am I crazy for liking this car? Am I off my rocker? I'd love to hear your feedback. And as always, check out alltfl.com for our podcast, all of our YouTube videos, and the website content in one convenient location. We'll see you on the next video.